Hey everyone, and thank you for joining us today on part two of our Blustream webinar. My name is Vincent Simoneau. I'm Technical Marketing Manager here at SFM, and I'm joined by our very own Frédéric Cadrin from our Technical Applications Group. Today we're going to focus on Blustream's AV over IP lineup specifically, and I'll start things off with a quick overview of the product families and kind of where they fit. And then Frederic will take you into the programming side to show you just how straightforward it is to work with these systems. And our goal is simple. So we really want to help you get comfortable with an AV over IP as a solution, especially if you're still mostly relying on traditional type of HDMI matrices, switchers, or video wall processors. And by the end of this session, you'll see why so many integrators are making this switch, and specifically with Blustream. So, why AV over IP and why Blustream specifically? So let's start with the bigger picture. So HDMI matrices and switchers have been the workhorse in our industry for years, but as projects start scaling up, and whether it's multi-zone video distribution, larger video walls, or even mixed use spaces, they start to hit their limits. And that's where AV over IP shines. It gives you really the scalability, flexibility, and feature sets that just you really can't match with that traditional gear. And Blustream does a great job of making that transition easier. Now, on the slide, you'll see there's 3 quick points that really sum it up. And the first is a solution for every project, from entry-level 1080p all the way to mission-critical SDVOE. Blustream really covers the bases, so you can really pick the right tier and really stay competitive. The second is integration is smooth. Blustream already plays nicely with major control systems most of us use every day, so you're not really reinventing the wheel when you deploy anything. And third is they back it up with support and warranty, and they offer 24/6 technical support and a 5-year warranty across the board, which kind of gives you a lot of confidence putting their products into your design. And obviously we have our technical applications team always ready for any of your questions. So in short, flexible lineup, easy integration, and a solid dealer support, basically. So let's take a look at the lineups and the product families. We're going to start off with the SDVOE series. So typically the IP500, IP510, and this is Blustream's flagship AV over IP solution. It's built with mission critical applications. So for broadcasts, medical, esports, anywhere where you see latency really cannot be compromised. Running on a 10 gig network, okay, it really needs a 10 gigabit network. It supports 4K 60, 444, the zero latency, multi-view, KVM, video wall processing, audio breakouts, and more. So the control module here for these type of, so each AV over IP needs a control module with Blustream. In this particular case, for the IP500 and IP510, they're utilizing the ACM 500, which manages the deployment. So that's the one on the bottom left. Then we jump into the mid-series of their IP solutions, and this is where you'll see the IP350, the IP300, IP250, and the IP200. And you can really, I kind of segmented them in based on the IP300 series and the IP200 series. This is where most projects will kind of land. These run on a standard 1 gig network with nearly the same features as the SDVOE line: video walls, multi-view, scaling, KVM, audio embedding, and de-embedding, and at a more of accessible price point. So the IP250 and the 350 add Dante and SFP for audio integration and fiber support, while the IP200 and the 300 are really streamlined without those options. Latency is just a single frame, so it's virtually unnoticeable. And these use the ACM210 controller. Important to note.
It's also worth mentioning that you can mix let's say the 350s with the 300. They can be in the same network exchanging video, but you cannot mix the 300, 350 with the 200 series. So
Gotcha.
if you're building a system, you're going to be just like that dash line is exactly what you're looking for. Is 350 and 300 go together, 250 and 200 go together.
Gotcha. That's a very good point.
And the reason is it's the chroma subsampling. So if you look in the small text, you'll see that 350 and 300 is 4K 60 444, where the 200 and 250 it's 420. So 4K 60 420 on the transmit side, and on the decoder side, like we're gonna be at 30 hertz. So we can accept a 60 hertz signal, but we're gonna decode at 30 hertz. That's what we're transmitting. We're encoding at 30 hertz and receiving that basically.
Yeah, good point. Thank you, Fred. So that's for the IP 300 and 200 series. Then we fall into what I would call some other entry-level legacy series, the IP50. And these are really for projects, or I would call them even legacy projects, where they're more on the 1080p systems where budget is kind of tight. The IP50 series is still a great fit, and it runs on a simple 100 meg network switch, yet it still does support stuff like KVM, audio embedding, the embedding. It has RS-232 IR pass-through, so it's an easy way to start with an AV over IP without really overhauling the entire infrastructure on the smaller projects.
Some projects don't really need 4K, right? So if you don't need 4K and you're happy with 1080, let's say a sports bar, maybe your TV channels are all coming in at HD anyway, might as well save the money. And that's just in that case, if your source is 1080, there you go. It's good enough.
And it's scalable for we're still talking about the restaurant. I mean, they can literally add a few TVs later on, and they don't have to change the hardware. They just have to add a few modules, and that's it.
Yep.
So what makes Blustream really stand out? And again, I kind of touched upon this a little bit before, but one thing I appreciate about Blustream is that you're not just they're not just shipping hardware. They're literally lowering the barrier to entry for these type of systems. Their network switch guides make sure you know exactly what's required, whether you're using a Netgear, Cisco, or another brand. Their control drivers are already built for systems like QSYS, Crestron, Control 4, or even RTI, which means less time struggling with the actual integrator. Also backed all of this with 24/6 tech support and a 5-year warranty, which really gives you the confidence where you're specifying them on larger jobs. And if you haven't explored it yet, Blustream's training portal is excellent. I don't know if you had a chance to visit it a little bit, Fred.
I have indeed, yes.
And I like that they run through a lot of different things, not just product specific, but even technology based, which I really appreciated.
Just to add to obviously I'm biased because I work for SFM, but okay, you go on their website, you press the chat button, and okay, they have offices in the US and the UK and Australia. So whichever is available based on the time of the day, within minutes, you're going to get somebody replying to your message on the online chat. Very responsive. So I just want to put it out there. If you have a Blustream question, tech support, you're like, hey, I need a question I need an answer right away. Go on their live chat on the website, and you're going to get an answer in a few minutes, within a few minutes.
especially 24/6. So if you're stuck like even on a Friday nights or even on a Saturday, typically a lot of manufacturers are closed on the weekends. But if you're on a Saturday, let's say, or on the weekend, and I mean they you actually have somebody that you can reach out, which is huge. So
Yes.
um, yeah, so good call. Yeah. So anyway, so the training portal actually goes through again product and technology training, and you can even get certified as a Bluestream installer. So that was basically a quick overview of the lineup and some of the key reasons Bluestream is kind of worth a serious look if you're planning your next video distribution project. But now is the real deal. So let's get practical. I'm really excited for this. I know there's always a big misconception about how people are still like waiting on the sidelines, jumping from the HDMI matrices and all that stuff into AV over IP. And I personally have used Bluestream on the programming side, and it's super intuitive. So I'm going to hand it off to our friend Fred from our technical applications group. He's going to take you into the programming side of Bluestream's AV over IP products, just to show you how easy it is to set up and configure. So Fred, over to you, my friend.
Thanks, Vincent. So, like you mentioned, Vincent, like many installers for the longest time have been, using HDBaseT for video distribution, and it's a great technology. But if you've never, dealt with networking in a more in-depth manner, it can be daunting to think about AV over IP and making the jump. And so I've played with the product quite a bit here at home in my little home lab. And one thing that really impressed me is how easy it is to set up, especially for someone who has no network knowledge. Setting up a switch can be daunting when you get started with networking. And there's a number of switches manufacturers that are compatible with Blustream, but when you use it with the Netgear M4250, it's so easy. And I'm going to walk you through step by step how you would do that on the field with an actual system. So nice. To begin, this is what a typical system would look like, basically. So you've got your client network, you're gonna have your video network. So what they propose is let's put your video endpoints, your video network separate from the client side. Why do we want to do that? Many reasons. First of all, generally speaking, you as the AV integrator, you don't have control. You don't have admin rights over their network. So trying to get the IT department to, make changes for you on the ports, on the QoS, multicast, can be time consuming because they're already busy doing their own thing, right? AV is not their priority. So that's the number one reason why having it on a separate network is great. The second reason is the client network, because you don't control, there's traffic that could interfere with the video side of things. Same is true also with about audio for like Dante, for example. So by putting it on a separate switch, whatever happens on the client side is not going to affect our video endpoints. So also a huge reason why we want to do that. But you're going to need at some point to control the video system, right? Your client is going to want to control it. How are they going to want to control it? Probably from, a control system, a touch panel, maybe from an iPad. So there needs to be some communication with the client network. And so Bluestream solved that challenge with their ACM 210. So the ACM 210 is pretty much the brain of the operation here. So first of all, it configures all of our endpoints. It will discover our transmitters and receivers. It's going to configure them. It's also going to send the commands for switching inputs. So AV over IP means any source can go anywhere. It's a big matrix switcher. So ACM210 will allow us to do our control, and I'll show you in a few minutes the drag and drop control, which is really easy to operate. You can take a source, drag and drop it to a receiver, and you get a live preview as well. Doesn't get any easier than this, honestly. So ACM210, as you can see on our diagram here, has 2 ports. We have our video LAN port, goes to our video switch, and then the control LAN port, which goes to our client network. So later on, if I use my iPad, let's say I want to control the system with my iPad is going to be connected to the client network. The client network has a Wi-Fi, probably, right? So that's how my iPad is able to control the AV over IP system, even though that system is on a different network. So 2 switches, ACM210. If you're more advanced with networking, you know what you're doing. Yes, you could put everything on a single switch. So you would have a separate VLAN for all your Blustream AV over IP endpoints. Perfectly valid also, but again, there is some separation with those VLANs happening, basically.
Yeah, it's a little bit more setup. No, if you want to start using the app, wouldn't you have to like create a tunnel or something? And
say that again. If you want to use the app,
yeah, if like you want to control some of the stuff. Actually, no, it's true. You already have the control port on the control module, anyways. Yeah.
Pretty much. So one port, both ports connect to the same switch, but they connect to different VLAN ports.
That's right.
Right. So switches, there's this guide here, approved network switches. So these are switches that have been tested by Blustream and have their stamp of approval. And so you can feel confident that if you go with one of those switches, there is a guide, there's a PDF document that's going to tell you exactly what to do step by step to set up the switch. So what exactly are they going to ask you to set up? We're going to be setting up quality of service, multicast management with IGMP snooping, jumbo frames, IGMP querier. So you're going to see with the M4250 is going to be easy. I'm going to select a profile, and that profile is a preset that's going to take care of everything for me. But if you don't want to go with a Netgear M4250, there are other options, as you can see here. And this document you can find on the Blustream website. So you go to Blustream, products. And then today we're going to set up an IP300, IP350 system. So that's the ACM210. So when I go on the ACM210, I can go in the downloads, and there is a network switch guide that tells you which switches are supported or have been, tested. And here I have these PDF document that I mentioned that tells me what do I do, right? What exactly am I going to do with these switches? What settings I need, basically, step by step. And again, you don't need to be a network professional. As long as you follow these steps, you're pretty much good to go. So like I said before, today I'm going to set up with you an M4250 from Netgear. So the first step right now, everything's factory default, by the way. So I'm starting from scratch. Obviously, you're going to find the user manual of your switch. It's going to tell you the IP address by default. And the default IP address of the switch is 169.254.100.100. And by the way, your computer, you don't need to set a static IP. You're leaving your computer IP address to automatic or DHCP, and your computer is going to revert to a link local address. So anytime you see 169.254.something.something, that's what we call a link local, meaning that because there was not a DHCP server on the network to assign your computer an IP address, it reverted to a link local so that it can still communicate with other devices that are using that same scheme, which is pretty much every device these days.
So this is a direct link laptop to switch without having the switch even being connected to another network to try to get into it, right? I mean, this is a direct link, right?
Yeah. So let's say you're connecting a device directly to your computer, no switch.
Yeah.
Both devices, by default, all devices are expecting to get an IP address from your router, from a very, like, let's say your home network is going to be a router. There's no router, there's no DHCP server. So
That's right.
they revert to link local 169.254. So that's how they're able to communicate, even though there's no switch, no router, no DHCP server. And that's why we don't need to do anything. I don't need to go in my network settings and put an static IP. I just put in the default IP of the Netgear M4250, which is this, and then I can talk to it basically.
Yeah, it's a lot less hassle.
Yeah, exactly. It's super easy. When you connect, let's say, to your home Wi-Fi, your home wireless router has a DHCP server built in and gives you an IP address. So, at home it would probably look like something like 192.168.1. I don't know, 60, 60, 61, whatever. So that's a more, can I say traditional IP address? I don't think so, but it's not a link local address.
Yeah.
Okay, so connecting to the switch, the default login is admin, and the password field is going to be empty. I just logged in a minute ago to the switch, so I already put in the password, because after you log in for the first time, you are required to put a password.
Hopefully not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Most devices these days, they're enforcing good password with upper and lower case, with special characters and numbers. So yeah, less likely.
Yeah.
Less likely these days. And you probably heard it before. Every device or website you visit should have a unique password. So
yeah.
We do recommend using password managers. It's required. It's a need. You really need a password manager. When I was an installer, we had one. So all of our jobs, we could save those password and it went like one folder per client. There's good ways to manage those password and make your installs secure and it's easy for you and your staff to get those passwords on the field. I love LastPass. There's many more options out there, but there's no excuse these days. It's so easy.
Yeah, good call.
But anyway, back to our program. We're gonna set up that Netgear M4250 for Blustream. So you log in, you go to Network Profiles, and then you'll be presented with the list of different profiles that are available. We go to Blustream multicast. Okay. Actually, maybe the thing I would do before that would be to make sure you have the latest firmware available. And it's really easy to check. You go to Overview, and here in the middle, you'll see the firmware version. And then to find the firmware, even easier, type in Netgear M4250 firmware. Okay. And then you scroll down and you go to the firmware software download, and then you will find the firmware here. So the latest firmware for a switch that has less than 16 ports, which is what I'm using today, is 13.05.16. Obviously, I'm already up to date. But if you're not up to date, just take a few minutes to the firmware update. The Blustream profile is relatively new, so if it's not up to date, you're probably not going to see that profile show up. And Obviously, bug fixes and enhancements are always a good idea to have, of course, right, on your system. So
Yep.
go ahead and update the firmware. Firmware's up to date, and we're good to go. Go to network profiles, and then I go to Blustream multicast. And I'm going to hit the gear icon. And basically, what you're going to do here is you're going to select the ports where you're planning to put your Blustream endpoints, your transmitters, receivers, and the ACM210. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's going to be these ports. And notice I'm not selecting number 1. That's where my computer is connected right now. I'm not selecting it so I don't get booted out. And I put in a VLAN ID. If you're only going to be using Blustream products, it doesn't really matter what you pick. Pick anything except 1. I'll put 10. And then apply. Boom, done. I did not pick I did not set up a DHCP server, okay? We don't need a DHCP server because our ACM210 is going to be setting up static IP addresses for all of our endpoints. Sorry, you're about to say something, I believe.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Great. Okay, so the switch is set up now. That was it. Notice now how we have that little Blustream icon on some of the ports. This is simply to tell us that it detected a Blustream endpoint, and you can see that the ports are blue. That was the default color that was picked. So that's how I can tell that these ports, they have been configured for the Blustream multicast profile. That black port here, number 1, that's my default one, and that's the one I'm using right now to communicate with the switch and set it up, basically. You can also use the out-of-band port. Each switch has one. The out-of-band port, that's a port that's only useful for configuring the switch. So if you say, hey, I have 9 encoders and decoders, I need every single one of those ports, that's fine. Just connect using OOB, basically. We're done here. No more networking required for today. I'm going to log out of there.
How awesome is that? How awesome is that? Especially for somebody who's not into networking or is like really kind of worried about getting into networking. That's all we had to do. That's why I think I really like the way that Netgear kind of, especially Netgear AV, is really getting into trying to get more integration with AV products and stuff like that. I think that having profiles in general is fantastic, and usually creating a VLAN, it's not crazy difficult, but it is intimidating for a lot of people, and you did that in literally 10 seconds. So
yeah, very
incredible.
Quick. It set up all the settings that are critical on the switch. Again, IGMP snooping is the most important one, because each of these encoders are roughly outputting about 900 megs of data. Each encoder 900 megs of data. So if I have more than one encoder, I'm about 1.8 gig. I've already saturated the ports on my switch. Because without IGMP snooping, our multicast traffic is broadcast. It's sent everywhere, even though receivers don't need it. So that is a problem because our ports don't have the capacity to go above 1 gig. So with IGMP snooping, the switch keeps track for each receiving devices, which stream they're interested in. Which multicast stream do you want to receive? Obviously, a decoder can decode one stream at a time. So it says, hey, I want to watch, this encoder number 1 or encoder number 2. And that's all they're going to receive in terms of multicast traffic. And that's how it makes that solution possible, basically.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be a network engineer. The profile just takes care of it for you, basically. Now our next step is setting up our ACM210. Okay, the ACM210 is gonna set up our encoders and decoders or transmitters and receivers, whichever you want to call them. Okay, the default IP address of the ACM210 on the control port is a 192.168.0.225. So at this stage, there's two options. If you let's say you have a like a little Wi-Fi wireless router and it's already using that, 192.168.0 dot something, then you can just go ahead and you don't need to set your computer to a static IP address. Okay, but if your computer, if you don't have a wireless router and you just want to connect directly to the ACM210, you're just going to go ahead and set up a static IP address so that your computer is on that same range, basically. My home network already uses 192.168.0.225, so I can just go ahead and enter that here. Or you can use the DNS name, which is acm210.local. Boom, and now I'm in.
But you have to still be under the same subnet. Or
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
For sure. Yeah. So my computer right now is connected to Wi-Fi, and I've got my Wi-Fi router connected to the ACM210 right now. You can change that IP address later. It may not work. Maybe your client has a different IP range for the client side. So we'll be able to change that afterwards, no problem. Select a user, Blustream. The default password, again, that's in the user manual, is @ capital B LS 1234. Type that in. And now we have to set up a new password. I'm going to pick this one here. Again, great time to invest in the password manager. If you highly recommend.
Yep.
And now it's a wizard. Just go step by step. Welcome to the Blustream multicast setup wizard. I can import a project or click next. So 99% of the time you want to click next. Unless let's say you're doing a university and each classroom is going to have its own AV over IP system. Probably these classrooms are identical. They all have the same number of endpoints, all the same models. So if you have this duplication of systems for a client, you can save a project and then import it. And that's just going to save you time when you have to do like one classroom after another.
Nice.
But
or even as a backup.
Well, yeah, backup, absolutely. Yeah. Great idea. Cool. But here I'm going to click next. A new system. It's never been done before. And here it says, hey, confirm your video switch has been configured properly as per our guides. And you can click here to see the guide and make sure it's been connected according to that diagram. So just what I showed you before, a separate switch for video and a separate switch for the client here.
I really like that they have the hyperlinks there so that you don't have to go looking for it. There's no misunderstanding and all that stuff. So that's really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just everything is there. How many transmitters and receivers is there in total? Less than 25 or more than 25? The discovery process is going to be a little bit different. Here I have just a handful. I'm going to start the scan. So now my ACM210 is scanning the video subnet, the video switch, and it's going to just look for any transmitters and receivers that are there. Might take a few minutes. So here today I have 2 receivers, and I think I have 3 of them connected right now, 3 transmitters. And what it does, this is random the way it just searches the subnet and as soon as it finds the endpoint, it will assign it a static IP. So you can see here my transmitters are at .3 and my receivers are at .6.
Interesting.
Make sure I have all of them connected.
Transmitter 3 just popped up, and we're just waiting for receiver number 3.
Oh, actually, sorry, I have 2 receivers and 3 transmitters.
Okay.
Sorry, so everybody's here now. So it will take a few minutes based on the size of your system, because it's scanning, the entire subnet. Once you know you've got everything, you can hit stop. Okay, and then we'll go to the next page. I want to mention here, I want to highlight HDCP mode. It's giving you the option to say bypass, force 2.2 or force 1.4. Essentially, if you're going to be doing 4K, HDCP 2.2 will be needed. Okay, so by default, it's force 1.4, so you're limiting your system to 1080. So if you do bypass or forcing 2.2, your system will be capable of doing 4K resolution. Okay, here I can set up my transmitters and receivers. I can give them a name that's a bit more meaningful. So let's see this one. What the signal is. Do I have something connected here? I guess not. Let's look at this one. Okay, so here I have a live preview of that transmitter. So we'll pretend like it's a cable box. And this one is my wireless gateway. My computer went to sleep. Okay, sorry about that. So this one is my wireless presentation, my WMF. So wireless presentation, present. Here I should have something now. Yes, I do. Perfect.
Nice.
And that's my laptop. So perhaps this one is the lectern input. Okay. And you see, you can just plug in your sources. You can see what's connected. So it will make your job a little bit easier to figure out what they are at this stage. And I can do the same for my receivers. I can give them a name. So receiver number 1 here, let's say it's going to be our projector. And number 2 is going to be monitor, the confidence monitor.
And just in case anybody out there is not aware, transmitter is basically your sources. Receiver is basically any displays, projectors, or any type of output that you want. So,
yeah. Okay. Every time you change the name, you see it's pushing that information and then it's rebooting. So that's why now I can't click on it. So going back to my transmitters, EDID. EDID basically is a piece of information that is exchanged between a receiver and a transmitter. And the idea is it's an opportunity for them to negotiate some common ground so that they can pick a resolution that both can agree on. So when you, let's say you plug your laptop to, let's say, your computer monitor, there's a handshake process, and then your display is going to tell your computer, hey, these are the sources, these are the resolution, refresh rate that I am compatible with. So there's going to be a list of resolution, refresh rate, and whatnot. And then your computer's going to say, oh, okay, yeah, I can do that. And it's usually going to pick the highest resolution that's compatible, basically. Because we have here in the system, we have a mixture of different displays, maybe projectors, and obviously they have different specifications. We're able to set EDID at the transmitter so that when your computer or any of your sources connect to a transmitter, the transmitter is going to provide some EDID information to your source to say, hey, this is my preference. Can you give me, let's say, a 1080 or a 4K? So, if your system is going to be 4K, you want to scroll down here and pick a 4K resolution. And you'll see there's going to be many 4K options that are available. If you're doing like home cinema, then 5.1, 7.1 is going to make sense. But if, let's say, you're doing a commercial installation, a bar, and you're only going to be doing mono or stereo, then go ahead and pick a 2-channel. So like that one's perfect. 4K 60 hertz, 444, 12-bit, 2-channel PCM. So that's audio it's going to be, it's me telling my source, hey, I don't want a 7.1, I just want to mix down 2-channel, basically. So if it's available, it will be provided to us. And I'll do the same for my other sources. So HDMI, 4K 60, 12-bit, 2-channel PCM. And I'm not forcing the source to give me that. I'm just requesting. I'm just saying, hey, can I please get that? That would be so nice of you. And your computer, I mean, everybody's been on the computer display settings and change the resolution. You can still do that. I can still go on my Mac or my PC and say, oh, I'm just going to give you 1080p. You still have the ability to do that. Okay, so that's done for all my sources. Now over to my receivers. I have scalar capability here. So I can, perhaps my projector can only do 1080, it can do 4K, so I could scale everything down to 1080. If it's a 4K projector or TV, I mean, I like to get the best resolution possible. Maybe you do as well. So I would say 4K 60 hertz. So this way, we're giving ourselves the ability to go to 4K, right? You may ask, why would I pick a resolution and why would I not leave it to pass through? So pass through is whatever resolution we get, that's the resolution we're going to send out. The advantage of picking a resolution here is that as soon as you get video, when you switch, the switching is going to be faster. And it's going to be faster because the receiver doesn't need to renegotiate with the display resolution each time. So basically, the receiver is always going to be sending a 4K 60 signal to the monitor, regardless of what happened. Okay, so even if you switch source here, so you go from the lectern to the cable box, the switching is going to be a lot faster. The display is always going to be live. It's always getting something. So that's the advantage of doing that. The only time, go ahead.
No, I was just saying very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. I'm impatient most of the time, so the quicker the better. The only time where you may have to go to pass through is if you have some sources that are like 25 hertz and they don't look fine through your display, then you may have to go to pass through. But in most cases, going to the highest resolution possible for your display is the way to go. And if And you can click scaling help, and pretty much what I've mentioned here is there as well as a quick refresher. Yeah. Hey, one thing I didn't mention is OSD. Okay, so OSD, it will show on the TVs or the projectors the number, the receiver number. So it's going to make it easier for you to identify who is who, basically. So there you go. You can flash the LEDs on one of the receivers or transmitters, so you can go, oh, okay, that's number 2. I can see my display right there is ID number 2. Then when I'm done, I just turn it off, so it's no longer on the screen.
Great for troubleshooting, if you need be.
Great for troubleshooting, and great for that initial stage where you're just assigning names to everything, and you're not sure. So what is this receiver?
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so we're done for this page. We're going to click next. Okay, wizard is completed. Hit finish. Okay, this is the drag and drop control that I mentioned earlier. I think is amazing out of the box. I can't think of another AV or IP solutions that has that same solution, that same control. So even without having a control system like QSys or Crestron or Extron or AMX, we're able to give our client with a really easy way to control our system. So as an example, let's say I want to bring my cable box everywhere to all my TVs. I take it and I drag it over to all receivers. Let's say I want to bring my wireless presentation device to only my projector. There you go. I mean, how easy is that, right?
Yeah, and the fact that you can actually get a glimpse into what the sources and the displays are displaying at any time. So if ever you have a monitoring program already in place with your customer and you get to monitor his network and you have access to this, doing troubleshooting remotely becomes a lot easier, because you actually see, you don't have to call your customer and say, hey, what are you seeing in front of your TV and stuff like that. You can do everything remote, which is fantastic.
So much easier. Here right now, we're logged into the ACM 210. Obviously, now we have access to all the pages, all the settings, right? So I can understand that you probably don't want to give them access to everything. But when you log out, by default, this is the welcome page of the ACM 210. So your client can use the iPad app or iOS app, so iPhone, iPad, Android app. They can put the IP address of the ACM 210 in their browser, and they can control the system without messing with all of the other settings, basically. You can even decide to disable the public page if you want to, and then create users so that only certain users in that company has access to that. So you can say, hey, the guest page, which is the welcome page, I'm going to disable it. I'm removing the ability for them to do anything. Or maybe I just want to give them the ability to bring things to the projector, but not the monitor. You can provide granular access to that public page. Say update. I can add a new user. I'm going to add one for Vincent. And then I'm going to put a password because I have to. Great. And Vincent, you're worth my trust, so I'm giving you access to everything. Or you know what? I don't trust you anymore, so actually I'm going to remove everything.
Yeah, so you can have critical things like, let's say, the signage that you don't want for the employees to touch, but the projector, let's say it's a restaurant, they can change the content there. So
yeah, I could say, you know what? I only give you access to the projector, and you only have access to these two sources.
Mm-hmm.
I can do that. Pretty cool. As an administrator right now, I have access to everything, of course. So let me walk through all the tabs that we have available to us. Preview. It's just slightly bigger preview of what you can see here. I can select a source, I can select a display, and I can see what's going on in real time. It refreshes every couple seconds, like you may have noticed. All right. Project. This is more of an overview of the system. Here I can see all my devices, their IP addresses, name that I've assigned to them. This is where I can add additional devices. So let's say your client calls back in a year and say, you know what, I have new sources, I have new displays. You connect them to your switch, and then you can scan and add them to an existing system. So very easy to add devices. You just log into the ACM 210. You don't need a project file. You can just continue where you left off, basically. Okay, I got my transmitters here. Again, I have the settings that I set earlier for EDID. Some of them will let you choose the HDMI audio setting. So I could say, hey, you know, I want the audio perhaps from the analog input, or I want it to be auto switching. This box here has Dante, so I can say, you know what, I want Dante audio to be encoded into the stream. So we have some flexibility there. Our LAN 2 mode, that's for Dante devices. You can decide if Dante is going to be on the same cable as the video stream or if it's going to be on a separate cable, because the Dante units have 2 network ports. Okay, same thing with the receivers. You can change most of the same settings that we just talked about for the receivers. Fixed signal routing. That one's interesting. We talked a lot about video on this presentation, but you can also transmit infrared, serial, USB, and CEC as well. So IR, perhaps you want to be able to control that cable box that's like deep in your rack in the closet. But you know that remote is going to be at the bar, so you would have like an IR receiver connected at the bar at probably the receiver, and we're able with an IR emitter on the other end to emit that signal. So we're able to do IR extension, serial, that's RS-232 basically. So the ability perhaps to turn that display on and off without having to run a separate serial cable from the control system all the way to our display. So all these things by default it follows the video route. So whatever video the receiver is getting, it's also going to getting all these signals from the corresponding transmitter. But perhaps you're like, you know what, serial, I always want it to come from this place. You can break the following mentality. You can say it's independently selectable. Mm-hmm. If you have a control system, all these fields will be selectable by the control system API. So you can get pretty fancy in automation using the API as well in that sense. USB, that's for KVM, keyboard and mouse. So if you're using the system with a computer, so perhaps that computer again is in your rack, and your display is elsewhere. Well, you can connect keyboard and mouse on the display side at the receiver, and then you're going to be able to control whichever computer it's connected to at the time, basically. All right. Okay, so we can also build video walls, and that is a really cool feature that is built in. with video wall. So here in this case, I only have 2 receivers. So I'm going to just make a quick video wall, and we're going to call this reception area, ID1. But you would say, okay, I have, I don't know, 6 display up, 6 display wide. Create the video wall. And then you assign a receiver to each display. So yeah, I have my projector, my monitor. Typically, it's always displays.
Displays.
It wouldn't be like a projector and a monitor, but just for a little demonstration, so we see what it looks like. Okay, so here's my video wall. So now when I go to video wall control, I'm able to, and you can see how it's spreading that source across both of those displays at the same time. Again, using that same drag and drop ability that we mentioned earlier. You can have multiple presets. Okay, so you can say, hey, let's say you have this, that 6x6. You can say, okay, configuration number 1 is all the displays are forming one big video wall, but you can make another preset where we're only using 4x4 for one big image, and then the rest are separate images. Perhaps like on the edge, you have different TV stations. I think a bar would be a good example where, there's a multitude of games happening at the same time. There's the big playoff game that's going to be, let's say, taking the 5x5. And then on the edges, we're going to have different little channels from different games, whatever it is, right?
Yep.
So I can go in my video wall configuration. I can say action, update settings, group configurator, add configuration, and that's going to be configuration number 2, and that one's going to be independent. See if my English is good. Independent seems right. Okay. So now I'm saying these 2 TVs now are single. They're no longer part of the video wall. They're just separate. Add configuration. Oh, sorry. I can go back actually. So now I have configuration 1. The name, I'm going to call this, 1 second, refresh configuration. Group configurator, configuration 1, and that one is called video wall. Like this. So now when I go back to my video wall control, I can select whether I have this big video wall or if my displays are independent. And now I can say, okay, I have my wireless present here. I have my cable box there. And I can switch back and forth between video wall presets as I need. So that's pretty cool. You really have a lot of flexibility in how content is going to be presented on your arrays of displays. So let's say, again, you have that 6x6, 6 displays across, 6 displays up. It doesn't always have to be one giant image. You can change the preset and how it's going to look like. And it's super easy for your client to change that as needed. And again, we don't have a control system here. It's just the ACM210 running on a computer or running on an iPad. So if your client doesn't have the budget for, let's say, a Q-sys or a Crestron processor, put an iPad, put it in kiosk mode. Kiosk mode meaning that it cannot exit the app, and you have a Blustream touch panel, basically.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Very cool. Yeah, especially in the sports bars, I see it a lot, and I know that sometimes the video walls at one point were a huge trend. and video walls, and having the capability of switching out from signage, like you said, signage at the bottom, different sports is on the sides, and then having your main event in the middle, or then going full screen, one large screen for the entire, um, restaurant bar, with the main event is really really cool, and just at the touch of a button, so anybody can really manipulate that without having to reprogram everything from scratch.
Yeah, super easy, super easy.
Yeah.
I didn't mention it, but you can have multiple video walls in your system. I can select which video wall I'm going to be interacting with. So if you had, I don't know, 5, 10 of them in the same system, also fine, also doable. You select which video wall you're going to be making changes to, and that's it.
Very nice.
If you have a control system, all of these options are accessible from the API. So your control system will communicate with the ACM210 either using TCP, basically IP, or RS-232. So we're sending the command to the ACM210, and the ACM210 will relay them to the receivers and transmitters as required.
Blustream has those drivers as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So if I go on the ACM210 website, so bluestream.us, bluestream-us.com, there are drivers that are already available. And that's a good point. We don't need to reinvent the wheel, and we don't have to go with the API text commands for most systems. Okay, so we have a QSys driver, we have a Crestron driver, RTI, Control4. So that will save you a lot of time. But if you have a control system that is not listed here, you can still use Blustream. You just go in the downloads and you download the ACM210 API. And then I have these commands that are visible. So you just take the commands that you need into your program, and they're just ASCII text command. So much easier than other hexadecimal control protocol, which can be a little bit harder, basically.
Yeah.
Firmware updates are all performed on the ACM210. So you can go to update firmware, and basically you would go by model. So you upload the firmware for the model you're looking for, and then you're able to click the update button on the relevant devices. So that's where you're gonna upload firmware for the ACM210 as well as the endpoints. So from one central location. These endpoints, they still exist on the network. Okay, so if you remember in one of the tabs, the project tab, there is the IP address of a transmitter and receiver. So you could take that IP address, put it in your web browser, and then you're able to access the receiver or transmitter, set up a password as well, and access other settings. But for most systems, you will not need to go there. But it is possible. You connect your laptop to the video switch, the video VLAN, and then you're able to communicate with those devices directly.
Very cool.
And I think that's about it for me. That was that was the overview.
It's pretty straightforward, and again, I love the UI. It's just very simplistic and not overly. I think a lot of the newer matrices, anyways, have a similar type of interface where it's more graphical. Let's say maybe not as with the whole preview thing, but it's a little bit more graphical. So it's not far, completely far on the far end, but yeah.
Yeah, and again, I'll say it again. My favorite feature is the ability to control the system without a control system, and it's easy to use. That's a big differentiator with the Blustream solution.
Yeah. Very cool, man. Very, very cool. So I appreciate that. That was I love getting into the programming stuff. So thanks again, Fred. I really appreciate that, and thanks to all of you who are joining today. Hopefully, this gave you a clear look on how Bluestream's AV over IP products kind of fit into your projects, and maybe even help you take that step away from those traditional type of HDMI switchers and matrices. But at this point, we'd love to open things up for your questions. So if you have anything you'd like us to cover, Fred's here, whether it's about system design, product features, or even deployment tips. Please drop your questions in the chat and we'll go through them one by one.
So this demonstration was recorded by myself and Vincent. Unfortunately, Vincent can't join us today, but I look forward to answering your questions live. So go ahead, you can use the Q&A box, and I'll be happy to answer them. There's one thing I want to mention in this video. So when I'm setting up the switch, when I'm done at the end, I forgot to hit save. So don't make that same mistake. When you're done configuring your Netgear switch, make sure you hit save, because otherwise, when you reboot the switch, it's gonna forget everything you've done. It's gonna wipe those changes that you made. So I know I've made that mistake before, and so don't make that mistake. So yes, this webinar will be posted on our YouTube channel, and you'll be able to watch it on demand on the SFM YouTube channel. Awesome. So I'll see if I have any other questions. Okay, so is there the possibility of having a simple control panel with simple poker switches to launch preset for the client? So I'm thinking probably like you're thinking video switching preset. Maybe if you can just clarify in the question box. So the ACM 210, the answer is there's no presets, but they are about to release the ACM 1000 shortly after IAC, we're being told. So the ACM 1000, yes, you will have video switching preset capability. So you'll be able to say, hey, this is, for example, a preset for game night or for show XYZ. And with one click of a button, you're going to be able to recall video switching preset for a multitude of receivers of your choice. So you can say, hey, I just want to target specific receivers, or I want to target the entire matrix, basically. With the ACM 1000, you're also going to get groups. So you can group displays together. So it's easier and faster for you to do video switching. So you can have a group, let's say, for each floor. Like floor 1, this is all my displays, floor 2, floor 3. So it's you don't have to like drag and drop every single one of those source to displays. All right, we'll see if we have any more questions. One advanced feature that is supported by the Blustream AV over IP platform with the IP300, IP350 is called VLAN tagging, and that can be interesting for larger systems. So typically, if you have a single switch deployment and you're going to be using both Dante and AV over IP, you can leave them both on the same cable. Without VLAN tagging, that's completely fine. But if you have a larger deployment with multiple switches, larger Dante system, then the advantage of VLAN tagging is that instead of running 2 separate cables to each encoder and decoder, meaning like one cable for video, one cable for audio, instead with VLAN tagging, you get a single cable, but the traffic is being tagged at the encoder or the decoder side. So basically, traffic is tagged and then it's untagged at the switch. So you get the benefit of being able to separate your traffic onto separate VLANs, yet using a single cable. So that's a really useful feature for larger systems that's compatible with Blustream IP300 and IP350s. I think that's all the questions that we have for today. And other options that we have, it is possible to do redundancy with the ACM210 and ACM1000. So if you have a really like mission critical installation and you want to have more than one ACM device, you can. So in most cases, a single ACM is more than sufficient. But if it's mission critical, you can have another one as well, no problem. Something else I want to mention, our Plus services are available. So if you're looking to get some help for deploying the system and kind of you want to let SFM do it for you, so our Plus services are available where we can deploy those systems for you. Otherwise, of course, our tag team always available for your technical support question, either through our phone system or through support at sfm.ca. So we're happy to help you designing those systems as well. So feel free to reach out. And that's about it for me. Thank you for joining us live. Like I said, this video is going to be posted on our YouTube channel. And we look forward to seeing you on our next Blustream webinar. Thanks, everyone.